Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bloom Conversations. I'm Claire Dewhirst. I'm the Director of City Nation Place, which is the global forum for place branding and place marketing. I'm honoured that Bloom Consulting has invited me to join these podcast sessions just to introduce the discussions. I see my job as asking the questions on behalf of you to ensure that we learn the most from the Bloom experts and their guest speakers. This podcast series has been launched to celebrate Bloom's 20th anniversary. Happy birthday, Bloom. And throughout the series, we'll be diving into the world of nation branding and place branding. In each episode, we'll be looking at just one thing you could focus on to improve your nation or place brand strategy. In fact, in each episode, we'll be focusing on one of the 14 steps that Bloom have identified as being crucial to building an effective strategy. So just one thing today and 14 things over the series of conversations. Today, we're going to be talking about step 10 of the 14 steps for nation branding. And that step is all about engaging stakeholders. So I'm very excited to meet for the first time today Özkan Erbay, who is the head of the Nation Brand Office for the Communication Directorate with the Turkish Presidency for Brand Turkey. Welcome, Noor. Lovely to meet you. Thanks for joining us.
Likewise, Claire. Thank you.
And also by Filipe Roquette from Bloom Consulting. So Filipe is the Nation and Place Branding Director with Bloom Consulting. Lovely to see you here today, Filipe.
Pleasure. Thank you for being here as well.
Well, this is such an important topic. And in all of our conversations at City Nation Place, it's the one that people seem to tear their hair out the most, how to effectively engage with your stakeholders. And I noticed, Filipe, that on the Bloom website where you talk about the 14 steps to nation branding, you call this the Achilles heel of place branding. Can you share a little bit why you think that is and why it's so important to get this right?
Sure thing, Claire. It really is the do or break of nation branding, because if you don't approach this, if you don't get stakeholders on board from day one, you'll have a really tough time constructing the nation brand, understanding the nation brand, and making the brand authentic and representative of the nation itself. And then if you don't have those stakeholders on board to develop it and then to implement it, it is going to be enough. Nothing is going to be done. And you might have the best strategy in the world, the best action plan to implement, and you will not be able to do it by yourself. It's not possible. You need everyone on board and you need everyone helping and building the brand. Otherwise, if it's a one-man show, it will not happen. And for us in Bloom, that is in both sides of starting the nation brand, it's really, really key to have.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. So first of all, to make sure that you're saying the right and authentic things, because everyone's been a part of that conversation. And secondly, to make sure everyone's behind what you're trying to achieve. That makes sense. So Noor, we were chatting before we started to record, and you were explaining that the Turkey brand office is quite new. So this must have been a key part of your work so far. Perhaps you can share with us what you've been doing to engage the stakeholders around Turkey's nation brand.
Yes, thank you, Claire. It's a pleasure to be here today with you. Turkey's journey in stakeholder engagement is, I must say, deeply rooted in its 1,000-year-old state culture. Even though we are a very brand new office in Presidency of Director of Communication, but we have already a strong background about our rich history of diplomacy, trade, and cultural exchange, especially, and has led a strong foundation for creating a strong country brand. And also our strategic location and legacy of facilitating diverse interactions have always made it a center of various cultural and economic exchanges. So I believe it explains how our approach to stakeholder engagement is comprehensive and authentic for us. So to create a nation brand that reflects Turkey's one-of-a-kind identity, we need to involve many different interest groups that can contribute to our country brand. Everybody knows that the field of nation branding is a blooming soft power instrument. And of course, stakeholder engagement is an indispensable part of it. We already did our first internationally held Nation Branding Forum back in December 2022. We examined across various scientific, academic, sectoral, and socio-cultural dimensions via presentations, panels, and events by experts in their fields from all over the world, including Bloom Consulting's president, Jose Filipe Torres. So it was a quiet day for place branding community, not just for us in the name of Turkey nation branding efforts, but also in an international level. So top level sector representatives, speakers, even actors from Turkish miniseries and producers, chefs, the world-renowned people who are the stakeholders, brand builders of Turkey's nation brand, actually. So we did some initiatives and we kicked off the strategies for our Centennial Vision in 2023, as you may aware of, Century of Turkey campaign. So that was a driving force for our stakeholder engagement initiative. So it was a comprehensive roadmap for Turkey's vision in the second century after the Turkish Republic founded. So basically, our project involved many sub-concepts for all stakeholders we are dealing. And we engaged also academia. Academia is a crucial stakeholder for us as well. NGOs, local tourism offices, even our students having their education in overseas, and also the expats and who lives in Turkey for years. So in this context, I must say, visualization of 14 Steps to Nation Branding Guide by Bloom is quite useful for us. So this guide makes it so much easier to express some unnamed principles or problems that we are actually fundamental to the developing process of nation brand. Sometimes we follow certain rules or recognize certain patterns out of intuition and fail to consciously mark them out and strategize on them. So this is why guides such as this one are quite valuable. This guide notes the distinction between types of stakeholders and categorizes them. Being aware of different features and functions of the stakeholders make our job is easier to build effective nation branding strategy. So in fact, advisory board, we are an advisory board as well, coordinating units that initiate the nation building project. So as we call ourselves as a brand architects, the stakeholders are responsible with realizing that strategy are named as a brand builder. So it's a brilliant idea to make these definitions and the visions very crystal clear. So that makes our job is easier. So again, every institution or individual stakeholder for us to build our to manage our nation branding works. So and their opinions and feelings need to be taken in consideration very, very critically. And when it's possible, they need to be shown that this is being done. So overall, brand is an abstract concept that we are dealing. There's many abstract ideas. So when we are engaging with the stakeholders, you are embodying the brand, and that impression you leave people also makes impressions about your brand. So this was an idea we always follow through our countless meetings and events. I must say it has proved a trustworthy principle. We hope everyone we interact with leaves a positive perception towards our country brand. So I will just summarize very shortly, briefly, the importance of stakeholder engagement and the challenges we're facing with. From our perspective, there are some must-dos and challenges, which are ability to coordinate and persuade each stakeholder, each brand builder, and dangers of hyper-strategizing your nation branding efforts, effective management of resources, and unity of narrative. So according to, again, Bloom Consulting's 14 Steps to Nation Branding Guide, any nation branding strategy, we believe, is doomed to fail unless functional and effective stakeholder engagement it's not secured. As a coordinating unit, we make sure that everyone is on the same page with our nation branding efforts. So probably the most important reason why stakeholder engagement is necessary is unity of narrative, which lies at the very core of the idea of nation branding. So if the different interest groups, whether it's governmental or private sector, come up with the mixed ideas and messages which contradicts with the general conceptions and dimensions of Turkey brand, it will weaken the message that we want to keep on. So this is a basic principle of communication in a political communication, brand communication. So this is also very important for us as well. So a powerful, single, unified message necessary for well-established country brands, and consistent, compelling, and unified narrative requires, again, well-established nation branding strategy. So this is like chicken and egg situation here. So to realize this goal, all stakeholders should be in tune, both in their actions and messages. Again, effective management of resources is another critical point, which is also my previous argument, unity of narrative among the governmental, private sector stakeholders. So it's very delicate process to handle. And we have to keep in mind, I believe, that we can strategize our nation branding efforts as much as we can, but at the end of the day, what matters is whether the brand builders have a reasonable vision regarding your country brand. So this is another crucial point, because you need to be aware that you are not in complete control of your brand.
Can I just come back and I have asked a couple of questions just to dig a little deeper? So am I right in saying that your nation branding forum that you organized, you did that quite early on in the development of your strategy? And part of the purpose of that was to ensure that all of your stakeholders who would be using the brand and amplifying the brand actually understood what we mean when we talk about a place brand, because as you said, it's quite a nebulous thing. It's a hard thing to catch. So was the primary purpose of that first forum, was it to explain and to ensure that people were on board with your thinking?
Yes, our aim from that is to show we are putting much attention and efforts to nation branding field. So that's why it wasn't just showing the Turkish audience or international audience that we are doing this job, but also just bringing the whole stakeholders together to give the message that we can succeed in this process with you, with all of you guys. We are on the same ship, and Turkey brand's message and the whole holistic strategy can be succeeded by all of you, each of you.
All of us working together. Filipe, do you see other places, have success with that kind of kickoff, we're all in this together moment?
Yeah, of course we do, but we also see a lot of failure, as you know, on that part of having everyone on board. And Nur was saying something that is really important, is not only showing what we are doing as a brand, but even going back on that, as you were saying as well, Claire, it's what is nation brand? Why is this for me? What is in it for me? Why should I use the brand? Why should I be involved in this? And sometimes that is so basic, but it is really important to this capacity building, this training, so people know why should they participate. And sometimes we see that when that doesn't happen, we talked in the beginning, it doesn't matter how great the strategy is, it doesn't matter how amazing the brand is and the project's initiatives, it will not flourish, it will not work, because people will not use it, and you'll speak in one voice and not in unison, and things will not succeed. So what Turkey is doing and the forum that we are talking about is amazing, because not only you're showing what you're doing and the results, but as well training people and getting them to know what nation brand is and why is it for. So
that transparency is a key word, isn't it? And also, Nora, you mentioned that one of the purposes, because the government is investing in this, and people always question what a government is investing in. And I know that from all the conversations we have, kind of justifying spend on nation brand is the major challenge. Can I ask you a question as well, Nora, about the structure? Because you describe your team as the coordinating office, and I know that that's a role that most nation brand or country brand or city or region brand teams take. You mentioned an advisory group. So is this quite a formal structure? You know, do you have a regular meeting with all of the departments in government that have a stake in the nation brand? Is that how that works?
Yeah, actually, before we were established, there was a public diplomacy, High Council of Public Diplomacy, where the whole government and non-governmental institutions just comes up to talk about the public diplomacy and the nation branding efforts of Turkey. So it's getting more established each day, getting more institutionalized after we also kicked off our nation branding efforts. This is a holistic area and holistic approach that needs to be taken to become successful. From this point, our nation branding efforts, it's not going to be successful by itself. We can make our story effective and successful with each individuals who feel belonging with their minds and hearts with Turkey. So that's why I was trying to give a very current example to that. So in a field so vibrant and spontaneous such as nation branding, there is no point relying strictly on planning processes. One day you can just sit down in a comfort of your own home watching the Olympics. So, and nonchalant athlete with no equipment can win a silver medal with ease, suddenly becoming a brand builder and boosting your country's nation brands all of a sudden. So I'm talking about our athletes, Yusuf Dikeç, who became worldwide celebrity in the middle of the Olympics in 10-meter air pistol team in the Olympics. So you've probably seen this performance around social media and the posts all around the world. So he wasn't a part of the branding program, the very rough, strict branding program of Turkey, but his contribution to our country brand has been immense for just one individual, one sportsman. So we can just cultivate this example to each level of the society, from diaspora, from the expats, the foreign people living in your country, and the whole sectors, all success stories. So that basically shows us that the 14 steps guide in Bloom Consulting. So hyper strategizing the whole process, it's not quite useful.
Is if you know what the authentic story is and the fact, then you can adapt those and be responsive when you have a positive situation arise, as you did with your athlete in the Olympics, or indeed if there's a negative story, Turkey's response to it, if it fits with your brand positioning, that works. And would you agree, Filipe, that if you have a core identity, a core understanding of what your identity is, and it helps you as a place to respond to bad and good things that happen around you?
Sure, completely. And everyone should know your central idea, your concept of your identity. And that is coming back to stakeholder engagement. That is the thing. It's whatever happens, everyone should know how to approach in a negative way or in a positive way. As in the Olympics, you should be on brand. It's not only being famous and that's going to be good for the brand. You have to be on brand. You have to represent the principles of the brand. So if the athlete in question knows what the brand is, it will do amazing things for the brand. If he doesn't know, maybe he will behave in an off-brand way, and maybe it's not as good, even if it's worldwide celebrity. So that's bringing of the stakeholders close to the brand, knowing what the brand is, knowing how they should behave toward the brand. It really is important. And in the other way around, approaching negative things in a non-brand way, it's fundamental. So everyone can see as what we want to be seen.
I like, Noor, your phrase that you can't hyper strategize. And I guess that when it comes to engaging stakeholders, the simple approach is probably the easiest, isn't it? I mean, nobody wants to read a 500-page brand book, and they're not going to take that in, and they're not going to be able to be on brand. The simplest way that you can sum up and express your brand objectives, then the more likely your stakeholders are to engage and take it with you. Is that what you found in Turkey?
Yes, definitely. So the awareness and delivering your message and make the whole stakeholders believe that they are the part of this story. So this is the simple but also crucial core point of nation branding processes that each country is trying to follow. And so, as you again mentioned, Claire, that it's hyper strategizing is or relying on 500 pages nation branding manual book is not helpful, because your stakeholders could be one ordinary citizen, or I mean a young teenager who goes to Erasmus in the Europe or other countries all around the world, and a Turkish citizen. So what I'm trying to say is this process starts from the citizen level. So first thing is first, you have to proceed, and first thing is to just make them aware, the whole stakeholders, that we are doing this with you. Each of you are the part of a very important part of it. So after all, just drawing the strategies and architecting sophisticated ways to make your nation brand as more strong, resilient, and etc.
Yes, that makes sense. Then, Filipe, would you agree that if your stakeholders are engaged, you're going to be more resilient?
Sure, and you have to make your central idea as meaningful as possible, so people are really proud of what they represent, of what they are part of. It's not only be part of the nation brand, it's seeing yourself in it, and then understanding that represents your identity and the pride you have on your nation, and you want to speak about it, you want to bring it to others in the same way that the nation brand does, and that is amazing. And if all that comes together, if people really believes in it and they see they are helping to build it, then you have an amazing brand, and everyone will listen to the same narratives and will listen to the same points about your brand, and that will be for sure a win situation and a success.
Yeah. So from your experience, Noor, if you had one piece of advice for another place brand team in terms of how they engage their stakeholders, all of the things you've learned, what would be the top learning from you, do you think?
Sure. And the challenges I might actually point out maybe at this point, our journey, it was very cherishful, but also there was challenges as well. So we have faced various obstacles in this process, so which are provided us valuable lessons. I think I can define our main challenges with the stakeholder engagement as a structural one. But as the nation branding reflects the dynamism of the digital age, but as the saying goes, wheels of bureaucracy tend to greet slowly. And coordinating many different interest groups as the ground zero of nation branding is absolutely the biggest challenge that we face. So as a supervising entity in charge of overall Turkey brand, keeping up with everything is a bit difficult, but we managed to overcome this with a challenge, with a holistic approach again, and delivering our message, bringing up all the whole parties that can appeal. Our strategies build on to appeal the whole players all around the society level, governmental level, private sector, NGOs. So looking ahead, we continue trying to find the ways to innovate stakeholder engagement. Again, digitalization made it difficult to secure your message. It also paved the way to include other natural stakeholders in this process, as expats who lives in 1,000 kilometers away from your home country, diaspora, digital nomads, influencers, can even cats of Turkey to enhance engagement and communication, so that digital platforms provide new opportunities for engagement with stakeholders, offering more interactive and personalized experience at this point. So if I may wrap up, our experience in this field of stakeholder engagement offers valuable insights into complexities and rewards of building a nation brand, involving a diverse range of stakeholders we have managed at least to create a cohesive and dynamic brand that resonates both domestically and internationally. So this is a long term, and that requires immense efforts, we believe, by many parties. So we can say this is like a national sports team, where to reach a peak performance, it doesn't only require by just one institution or just the government or other sectors, but also the whole team players needs to be in there with their all dynamism and flexibility, and the good planning at this point is very crucial. So unity of narrative, again, efficient use of resources, and not hyper strategizing, not abstracting, because the ordinary citizens or the whole stakeholders cannot comprehend, what we are talking about and what we are trying to make for the country, our country brand. So ability to coordinate and persuade the whole stakeholders, again, very important. So you can create a successful nation brand unless you engage with the whole relevant and strategic parties. And this is the must-dos, again, to find who wants to be participating in this process as a volunteer to be part of your nation brand.
What I'm hearing is keep it simple, keep it real. I know how small place brand teams are, how under-resourced so many of them feel themselves to be. So, focusing on what you can do as well in terms of stakeholder engagement. And that magic bullet is finding the people who are enthusiastic, finding the people who will be your ambassadors. Filipe, do you have a closing piece of advice for anybody considering their approach to stakeholder engagement?
If I had to shorten it up a lot, I would say you cannot do it alone. You can't. It's impossible. You will not have a nation brand. So I think it's really important to start from day one until, the end of times, embracing with and engaging with everyone that can help and can work with you in building a brand. From as we are saying, the brand architects, those who will lead the project until the brand audience. You have to work with all of them, and you have to them and engage with them and bring them together so they can help you out. As you were saying, Claire, the brand is not yours. The brand is the nation brand, so everyone should be part of it. And there's much further you go with this, the bigger brand you have and the better results the nation will have, of course.
I think my final point would be that it's a question we asked, I think, in the first year of City Nation Place, and this is our 10th year, which was, do you think that as a person responsible for a place brand, it's more important to be creative or more important to be diplomatic? And the response was, that's not an either or. You have to be both creative and diplomatic to pull this off. But thank you so much. I think our time is up, but Nora, thank you so much for everything you've shared. It's so good for people to be able to tune in and hear the inside story of the work that Turkey has been doing. So thank you for joining us. And thank you, Filipe, for putting that extra level of advice, given all of the different places that you work with around the world. But it's been delightful to chat with you both today. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire, for having me for this opportunity.
And thank you, Noor, for bringing your great example to the conversation. And thank you again, Claire.